you like to make your shots more interesting and visually appealing?
If you're picking up a camera for the first time, it's often tempting to find your subject, put them in the center of the frame, and start shooting. They're the center of our attention, so they should be framed in the center, right?
Well, imagine that you film your show so that every shot, the subject is always in the center of the frame. You might start to notice a problem with this pattern. It can lead to your audience viewing a long series of not so interesting shots, or shots that could be more visually appealing if shot a little differently.
Let's compare a couple of shots of an interview subject.
Look at the one on the left. It's framed with the interviewee dead center. Sounds like the kind of potentially unappealing shot we were just talking about.
Now, let's look at the shot on the right. A little more interesting, right? Well, maybe you don't think so, and maybe you like to have some of your subjects centered smack dab in the middle of the frame. That's okay.
But don't give up on me yet. Here's where going over a classic rule of composition called the rule of thirds may give us some background knowledge and convince you to deviate from always shooting your subjects in the center of the frame.
Now, the rule of thirds is a little easier to show you than it is to explain.
So look at the rectangle on the screen. Imagine this is your frame, or what you see in your viewfinder or whatever you happen to be filming. Now let's divide the frame into thirds, first horizontally, then vertically.
The rule of thirds basically states that your composition will be stronger when you frame your shot so that the subject or subjects are placed on one of these lines, rather than between them.
The points of intersection of the lines are especially strong markers for where you might put your subject. The great thing about the 4 points of intersection is that it gives you some variety of where you can place your subjects while still getting visually appealing shots.
Framing your shot this way and making sure to give your human or animal subjects nose room and head room will place them in the frame in a way that is aesthetically pleasing and likely a little more interesting than a dead center frame shot. Framing a shot this way can also help you to convey movement, action, and dialogue even when the subject is seated, as in the case of many interviews.
Keep in mind that when using the rule of thirds, you're applying a rule that many professional television programs employ. In other words, it's a rule that audiences are accustomed to viewing, even if they don't know it. Many viewers' eyes drift naturally to these points of intersection in a frame, and whether or not you choose to employ the rule of thirds, now that you know what it is, you're very likely to notice it being used in your favorite TV shows, films at the box office, and in ads plastered around the city.
Rules are made to be broken. You might want to experiment with different kinds of shots that may not follow this standard, and that's okay. Just be mindful, whenever you're framing a shot, to think about where you're putting the subject in the frame and why you're putting it there.